Well, come on inside and get yourself something cool to drink.
And he's better than what you have. But he is not your savior.
Hey, Bachi.
Man, we just got to talk for a little bit, man. Jadeveon Clowney is a Dallas Cowboy now. He's doing the interview circuit and all that. You know, some people like, hey, man, I hope he wear number 11. I say, oh, boy, I be that mess. We won't go there, though. What do I mean by, Jadeveon not being your savior and all this kind of stuff? I just want to be clear with people. Yeah, I think there's a middle ground that we need to reach here with Clowney. Is people don't need to think that Jadeveon Clowney is the former first overall pick, super explosive, rush up the field. You know what I mean? I don't even know if he's double-digit sack guy at this point. He might be a little better than what you got right now, but he is no longer that dude. But there's also a other side of that middle that we need to be considering, and that is the side of he's also not so washed that he can't help you. Washed is, subjective, of course. And when people say washed, in my mind, I think that they're thinking of a player that can't play football anymore. I don't think Jadeveon Clowney is a player that can't play football anymore. We're using washed in two different terms. I'm thinking that you're using washed like terrible. You're probably using washed like he ain't what he once was. But, if that's the case, then fine. We're just using the word differently. Jadeveon Clowney played for the Panthers last year. He got like 2.5 sacks. He was a really good run defender. More than likely, that has something to do with the Panthers being trash and teams run the football against him all the time.
Did you hear what I said?
Hey, man, if a team's going to run against you, they're probably not going to pass very much. And if they're not passing, you can't sack people. But the years before that, Jadeveon Clowney had a couple of 9-sack seasons, right? So I'm just thinking to myself, if you can get that guy, you get 9 sacks from Jadeveon Clowney, I think you're throwing a little party. So far, the only guys that got sacks for you right now is Marshawn Neal, Kenny Clark, and James Houston. Like, those are your sack guys, and I'm trying to fight to get James Houston more reps. Flus just won't answer the phone though. But Jadeveon Clowney is going to come in here, and luckily I don't think you have to get rid of any of your edge talent to get him going. Cooper Beebe is going to go on injury reserve. That's going to suck, but it's going to open up a roster spot for Clowney, so he gets to come in and you don't lose any of your pass rushers right there. The Cowboys in when they did cuts, they kept 6 edges. Michael was one of them. Mike is gone now, so I guess Clowney can make you 6 now, and that's cool. What I didn't want is for Clowney to come in and you lose valuable time with James Houston. James Houston's been one of the more impactful guys on the least amount of snaps that you can get from the pass rushers on the roster right now. I mean, Sam Williams had like 40-something snaps, I believe, on defense, and James Houston had like 14, but James Houston in those 14 got a tackle for a loss, a sack, and a couple other good plays versus the run. And maybe like a pressure, I believe, here or there. So, James Houston's doing the most with less. I want to keep James Houston, give him some more reps, then incorporate Clowney, and maybe take some reps from, some of these other guys, man. But Clowney's definitely going to help you in the run game. He's definitely going to help you in the passing game. And I can always, come back to this, that I commend the Joneses for getting ahead of the problem. The Joneses normally wait around until something is like a horrific issue that you got to deal with, and then they make you try to make an adjustment to it. But this time the Joneses noticed that there's a problem, so they're getting ahead of the problem. I got to give them credit for that. Jadeveon's still not your savior, though. If Jadeveon still comes in, and let's just say he's a 9-sack guy and he's really good versus the run, that doesn't mean Jadeveon Clowney is going to make your defense better, because stopping the run wasn't the problem yesterday. Stopping the run wasn't the problem for the Cowboys in the second half versus the Eagles, and that's with the Eagles' offensive line and Saquon Barkley running right at you. I don't think the Cowboys are in much of a run defense emergency like they were coming into the season. I think Kenny Clark solved a bunch of that, but I also think scheme-wise, I think they're doing a pretty decent job dealing with the run. You can't let Scatterbo go crazy like that, but for the most part, I think they're doing cool. The deep passes are the nonsense part. Right. And it's a new issue every single week. If you look at, shouts out to Will Steele, texting me right now. Will Steele text me something about my film session. Pardon me. So what I was saying was Jadeveon Clowney, right? I wasn't talking about Jadeveon Clowney. I was talking about Flus. Okay. So you have one issue as a run defending team or just a quarterback spy team in week 1. Then you have an issue with the quarterback throwing the ball for 450 some odd times. You didn't think that you had a pass defense problem last game because you did a good job corralling Jalen Hurts and his top 2 wide receivers. You had a run defense issue last week. But this week, now you're not saying very much about the run defense, but now it's something, right? Like it's one thing or another. It's, peanut butter, no jelly type stuff. You know what I mean? What you need Eberflus to do is, and look, I'm just a dude with a camera and a microphone. I don't know anything. What you need Eberflus to do is to take his individual players and find out what they do great. And don't ask them to do nothing outside of the list of the things that they do great. On a couple occasions, just Donovan Wilson running downfield as a deep safety, playing one high, in cover 3 for the most part, but like one high in theory versus offenses. Or you'll have, Jack Sanborn turning and running 30 yards down the field with Wan'Dale Robinson. You can't win football games like that. And it's not their fault that they can't do those things well because we knew this. We knew these things about these guys, right? We know Donovan Wilson plays down in the box and he comes up. He's a run defender. Sanborn is a A-gap to A-gap linebacker. These guys aren't the guys that turn and run. So if you're Flus, why don't you have Leofold turn and run? Why don't you have Damone Clark do some of those things? Why don't you have Wanye Thomas playing deep middle if that's going to be the case, right? It just seems like a malpractice situation with the guys, in their usage. You have you have linebackers that can run around. You face a quarterback in week 1 that can run around. Why aren't you spying him? And if you spy Jalen Hurts and keep him from running around, man, you might beat the hell out the Eagles, dog. Like you just don't know what happens here. So Jadeveon isn't going to save you by himself. I do think this defense has enough talent to be solid. But man, Flus just got to understand who he's going against week in and week out. He's got to understand who he's going against and who his guys are. And honestly, this could be a situation of, brand new defense, 2 weeks into it. Communication wasn't great. Spacing, leverages wasn't great. You really can't blame Trevon Diggs for getting beat by Malik Neighbors. Everybody gets beat by Malik Neighbors. Even if they've been healthy for a year. Trevon Diggs only been practicing for a couple of weeks. Yeah, Neighbors going to run by you. Neighbors one of the best receivers in the league, man. But what you absolutely can't have is Wan'Dale Robinson and Slayton getting big yardages against you. That's what you can't do, More help is coming. Overshown's going to be back, and he's going to help with your linebacker speed problem, assuming that they take Sanborn off the field and Flus ain't just tripping. If Sanborn even still got a job at that point. Darius Butler's going to come back to help. Kalen Carson, Savon Ravel. You get to throw bodies at the cornerback position. A lot of people say, why won't we sign Gilly? I got a source that says that they think that the front office just doesn't think Gilly still got the same skill that he has or the same speed that he has. So I don't think he's on the table at all. At the end of the day, this defense is going to live and die by Flus. I think, Shotty's done his part, right? Shotty understands that we're going to live and die by Dak on offense. So Shotty's not doing anything to get in Dak's way. Eberflus is stepping in Donovan Wilson and Jack Sanborn's way. Now you can fix that by, if you want to keep the scheme, change the players. Or if you want to keep the players on the field, just don't ask them to do stuff that they're not good at and just change the scheme. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see how this thing goes. Like I said, you're going to live and die by Flus, and we'll see what that looks like in week 3. In real life, we can't be super critical because it's only been 2 games, and the defense looks good in some spots, and in other games it look good in different spots. But we'll see what that looks like with Caleb Williams, right? Like maybe you can run all this goofy little zone versus young quarterbacks, but maybe not old quarterbacks, So Russell Wilson maybe not, but Caleb Williams being brand new 1 year into the system, him being with Ben Johnson's offense for 1 year, you could probably mess around on Caleb Williams and make him look a little crazy. But I said the same thing about Russell Wilson, so I ain't ready to stand on that. Green Bay look like they primed to beat the hell out you, but Hey, that's what they play games for, player. We gonna see. We gonna beat them until they beat us. And the rest of the schedule we'll just figure it out as we go. But I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me and listening to me. I do this all the damn time, and I love y'all to pieces. I'll talk about something tomorrow. We can go live or something and meet up and have a little party. Be sure to tap in on Crown Global. We're doing film over there. Peace.